What's up, guys? I'm just chilling in my 240SX. In the last video, we painted the engine bay and I revealed to you guys the new painted valve cover. Now, as I normally do, did not record and I did a lot of work. The main big pain in the butts was gonna be the brake master and mounting the oil cooler and the power steering cooler, because those require me to make custom mounts. So my buddy Chase and I put our heads together and we turned some sheet metal and a shelf bracket into brackets to hold my oil and power steering cooler. So let me show you guys. So as you guys can see, we mounted the power steering cooler, the oil cooler from Grassroots, and the ISR intercooler. I also got these Nissan sports horns. They look really cool. They look like little turbos, but the old horn location was too close to the intercooler, so I moved them over here by the hood latch, and it looks awesome in this spot. But the reason I mounted these like this is so that air will hit the intercooler. It'll also hit those coolers and the radiator behind it. Also, the power steering will be able to route straight to the pump, which will be on this side, and the oil cooler will be able to run to the oil stuff on that side. I also cut a little piece of vacuum hose just to make sure that nobody cuts themselves on that hole for my wiring harness. And I tried to route these lines kinda, but I'm still trying to figure out how exactly I want to do it. This seems like my best bet. I just want to make sure it's away from any moving parts. But today's plan of action is we're gonna start throwing in the new chassis harness. So we'll get that unboxed and ready to go in the car. So here is the brand new Wiring Specialties chassis harness. This deletes the fuse boxes, and in return we're gonna be mounting a PDM in the passenger side somewhere. We'll see where the wires lay out. But first I want to open this up and see what we're working with. So this is kind of a rough mock-up of what we got going on here. So we're going to start at the front. We got the headlights, the horn, all that stuff. The passenger side where it goes back to the wiper motor. Then it's going to come into the car through the firewall. These will plug into my PDM, my engine harness. There's a few other things, the blower motor, but we deleted the blower motor. We got the radio over here to the steering column, sensors and stuff. Then we go back to the back side of the car, third brake light, fuel pump, and then the tail light stuff. So pretty simple now that it's laid out in front of us. We just have to throw this into the car, zip tie everything, and make it look clean. I also zip tied my brake lines from the Chase Bay's brake line kit, and I believe this is going to be the best way to route it. My fuel lines, I'm going to have to cut back about 6 inches on each one for my Chase Bay's AN fuel lines, and everything should be clean, not be a hassle or dangerous, and we'll be shredded. Alright, so it's been about a day. My friend Andrew came by and we routed the whole harness around the car, but we actually did it wrong. So let me show you guys what we did. So we're gonna start here on the driver's side. So we got the headlight, side marker, our fan, the other fan dangling over here. We routed it through here. We got the other headlights. Then it comes up around here, tucks up around the fender, breaks off to the wiper motor, and then we cut a hole in this rubber grommet and fed it through there. So the rest of the harness will come in through the passenger side. So the harness comes through the firewall over there. Then it comes down, and these plugs are going to plug into the PDM, which we are going to mount somewhere in this vicinity. Now this part is where I'm going off of Wiring Specialties YouTube video where they install this on a right-hand drive coupe. Now they go over the dash bar to the steering column, then they go through it and follow the driver's side to the back. Now the issue with that is my fuel pump and my third brake light were not reaching to their respective points. So I emailed Wiring Specialties and they said that I was probably getting confused on the video, and they sent me over the actual instructions, to which the longer part actually comes down and follows the middle back. That way it reaches everything it needs to. So we're gonna pull that apart and reroute it that way. Alright, so it's been some time later. I ended up rerouting everything. I mounted the PDM right there. This plug will go to my engine harness. So it comes through the firewall, goes up, plugs into the PDM, goes around the dash bar, and then this part breaks down, comes down, and follows the trans tunnel to the back of the car, follows my handbrake line, and then up and through that hole. So this is following the passenger side of the car. All the rest of the wires will go to the steering column to plug in all that stuff, and it's all plugged in right now. I kind of roughly routed it. So we get to the back of the car, coming through this hole, follows here, then it breaks down to my fuel pump where it grounds, and then plugs into my taillights. So I kind of got everything mocked up how I want it. Comes through. Got all my my headlights are plugged in. I still have to zip tie some stuff here. I was just trying to play around, see how I want to do it. And then it comes around into there. Mint. Another update. I routed a separate harness that I got specifically for the pop-up motors, because Wiring Specialties, the chassis harness, does not support the pop-up motors. So chassisharness.com, they make these pop-up motor separate harness. So it plugs into the pop-up motor. I routed it, the other pop-up motor, and then it follows the rest of the harness around the fender into the car, and then it includes a relay, and it has 2 switches, so each headlight will be on a separate switch, so you can set up your headlights however you want. So that's pretty much all of the chassis harness. Now we just have to start running our battery lines. So we're gonna have a I'll explain it to you guys. So fast forward, I know I said I was gonna show you guys how I'm gonna do the battery lines, but instead I'll show you how I did it. So before I had this block thing up in the engine bay, but instead this time around I made a shorter cable, so it'll go from the battery to the block, and from the block it'll route straight to the new Wiring Specialties PDM. So we got the cable coming down following my wiring harness for the chassis. It then comes through here, up, and mounts directly to my PDM. Then from the PDM I'm gonna have to make a cable that'll route to my starter, but that'll be when the engine's in the car. I also went ahead and I mounted my brand new Link Fury X G4X ECU. I had to make a little custom bracket for that. I'll throw some pictures up. Not perfect, but you know, it mounts with 3 bolts, so it's nice and sturdy. It plugs right into my Wiring Specialties harness, where I got everything routed, including my engine harness, just to make sure everything's tucked. These are some auxiliary power and auxiliary sensor wires. Probably just gonna tuck these off to the side. Same with these. And now I'm working on my digital dash. I have a version 1 power tune digital dash. Let me show you guys what I've been doing on that thing. So excuse the really loud blower fan. So what I've been working on is this power tune digital dash. Got the wires all laid out here. I already did one side. So this digital dash comes with this CAN extender. So the big plug on this extender plugs into that side. Has all these cables for all your different analog and digital inputs. Fuel level, headlamp, you know, that type of stuff. This plug came off of my Wiring Specialties chassis harness. They gave me a bunch of flying leads specifically to power up the power tune dash. So most of the sensors and signals are going to be coming through CAN, but these, which I wrote down here to help me do this, are fuel level, turn signal, speed signal, high beams, and dash illumination. So these I connected to the correct pins on this plug, and the rest I just taped off because we're not going to be using them. So now this side will plug into there, and this side will plug into my chassis harness. And then there's another pigtail that they have that had flying leads. It's this one that I unplugged the plug on. Now this is my CAN low, CAN high, 12 volt ignition and ground. Now that's going to be what powers up this whole assembly. So this red and blue wire is going to be connected to the back of the digital dash. That's our CAN high and CAN low. On the back of the extender pigtail, there's also CAN high and CAN low. So we're going to match them up with their corresponding wire and then connect them each to CAN high and CAN low on this pigtail. Then we have the 12 volt ignition and the ground, which we will connect to their corresponding ones, as well as this wire that will connect to that plug too. So I know that was very confusing, but I'm going to do it real quick and show you guys what it looks like. So I just finished up the wiring for this other pigtail. So now here's the layout for the digital dash. We got the dash itself. The CAN and power cables are then together. They connect to this T. One part of the T will go to my chassis harness. The other part of the T is going to be going to this CAN extender, which will then go to the other cable that I made into my chassis harness again. So now this looks pretty simple. It's ready to go in the car. So I got the CAN extender box mounted over there on the firewall. We got the one plug plugged into the harness, and the other one I want to route through the dashboard, so we're going to have to put the dashboard in first, so that's going to be fun.